before I began, like I think I've tried going live 3 times now, and before I even sat down to like prepare for the live, yes, I was caught up in my like some technicalities. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like it was so funny. It felt a bit like directed towards me, like, oh, do this, and like I have to go live. So like my life is starting later than usual. I like to begin my live at like 12, you know, and see if I can go for 2 hours. But now we are almost at, what did I say, 12? I like to start my life at 11, sorry. And I see if we can go for 2 hours, you get. But today is almost 12 p.m. and we have to start it that way. Anyways, if you've read the description, I don't know, maybe we should actually wait a bit for my my people to come on live. In the meantime, again, I have my trusty, pretty purple post-it notes. I think I should get my dictionary, but I want you guys to come online first. When you come online, then I can, go to get my dictionary. Okay, so let's take out the note first. Let me take out the notes. Then I will start my discourse. Yesterday I had fun. It was fun chatting with a lovely visitor to my channel. I think they ended up subscribing, which is good news for me, which is wonderful. I hope they had a lovely time on the stream yesterday, and I hope they come today again. And I welcome new people too as well onto my stream. Yesterday we had this whole. Yesterday we read poetry and we did maths, and today we are reading a book. But I also want to say that yesterday we had some vocab, like new words we learned, and it's interesting because most of the words were not in the dictionary because they were they're like indigenous Irish words, as in it's part of their language. So I guess you wouldn't find it in an English dictionary. Maybe in an Irish dictionary you could find that. So I'm posting it at the back of my tabs here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I wanted to wait for you guys to come on before I start properly. Anyways, introducing you to my post-it note. If you are new here, here with this note, we're going to take, with this post-it, we're going to make, record our new words, our new phrases, things that we learned today in our reading. So we are reading, this book is in the description already, Family by J. California Cooper. But before that, I just wanted to have a little chat, so that I don't start too fast and everybody else can catch up with it when we are reading. So, but before that, yes, I want to talk about something, propaganda I'm not falling for. And it was something that I really had to meditate upon this morning. You get, and meditation is not something that by itself, yeah, does something for you or gives you something. Meditation is something that is just a random practice of being present, yeah. So all those thoughts, like when you wake up in the morning, all those thoughts that you experience and you think, oh, this is just how my head works, or this is what I think, I want you to understand that you can actually reject those thoughts, yeah. You can reject those thoughts and you can decide on new thoughts. You can even isolate those thoughts and kind of shoo them away, you get, by the things you want to be in your head. Do you understand? So this morning there's so many thoughts that came to my mind about my channel and my streaming and my everything. And yesterday was a wonderful time. I had fun reading poetry, solving maths, and the people that came on the stream, they were lovely. They connected with me, they were kind, and it made me feel so good for the rest of the day. But like in the midst of feeling good, yeah, there was this nagging voice in the back of my head that I pretended not to hear. And then when you wake up early in the morning, that's kind of the first thing that clouds your mind. Yes, that first thing is that the first thing that came to my mind was that, and so what if you had so many people, and I was personalizing it as if I was the one talking to myself, like it was me coming up with those thoughts. And the thought was just like, And so what? So what if your stream was good yesterday? That does not mean you're any close to this level of success on this platform. You get? Do you know how far you have to go? Do you know how far you have to go? And I felt very pressured. Like it just like weighed me down immediately, and I could not even think straight. And I felt so. It felt as if depression was coming over me. Yes, you get. And I just sat down and I just stayed quiet and I let the voice go on and go on. And then I recognized that that was not my voice. There's no way that's my voice. Because my voice is happy, would be happy about this level of, you know, this progress that we've made. You get, like, this thing that we are doing and we are liking what we do and we are seeing, we are meeting people and we are connecting with people. Like, that is something that I've always wanted. You understand? So there's no way I'll not get what I want and then I'll not start telling myself that what I want is rubbish. Do you get? That cannot come from me. That would not be coming from me. So what I did was like, okay, so you say that I have a long way to go and you feel like I cannot enjoy seeing myself as, you feel like I cannot enjoy seeing myself like the way I my joy made me feel, like the way the joy of yesterday filled me with so much gladness and it made my heart easier. You feel like, basically, I felt very free, you know. And this voice was coming out to say, don't feel free, don't be at ease, you know. You have to sit in the corner in the dark. Don't you dare think you're free. That was basically what the voice was trying to make me feel. And I was like, why should I not feel free right now? And it's like, when you get to this milestone on this channel, on this platform with your channel, then you can begin to feel free. For now, don't feel free. And I'm like, if I'm going to feel free at this point of this milestone, I want to believe that I already feel free now, that I am already free now. You understand? I want to believe that it's not the having of things that is going to give me my freedom. You understand? And it's not the milestones of success that people propose as what is worthy of, like, calling success, that is going to make me feel freer than I am, than I already am right now. You get? And then I was like, that is not my, you are not my voice, so you don't belong here in my head. You understand? And even though it didn't disappear immediately, yes, I just kept on persisting that there's this saying by Van Gogh. I don't know if it's accurate, but if what I'm, it's not a direct quote, but what he said was like, if I'm worth anything later, I'm worth it now. For wheat is bread, even if it's just grass. I don't know if it's accurate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, if I'm worth anything later, I'm worth it now. You understand? And I feel like that's so poignant to Van Gogh, because when all of Van Gogh's lifetime, he lived in poverty. Yeah, he was literally in an asylum. He had to cut his ear because of how depressed he was. And like, if people were comforting him with sayings of, I don't know if people were comforting with saying of, oh, don't worry, one day you will make it, one day your art will sell, one day your art will, you know, blow. And it's like, if I'm worth anything, then you get, if I'm what praise, then when my art sells out, then that means I must be worth it now. You understand? And that thing, I've held on to it for so long. Like, if I'm worth anything tomorrow, if I'm worth anything in 1 year, if I'm worth anything in with 1 million subscribers, or if I'm worth anything with a wonderful big audience, then I'm worth it now. Where it doesn't, like, it's not showing up. At the end of the day, I'm still the same person. And that's propaganda I'm not falling for. Materialism. I don't know how to call it. I'm not falling for the propaganda of materialism. Yes, the idea that material acquisitions are going to give you status. And only when you have material acquisitions, you should allow yourself to feel free. Because at the end of the day, the feeling of freedom, we have been taught, conditioned to feel like we can buy freedom. I don't know what this is on my lips. Ah! We have been taught that we can buy freedom. We buy freedom by the things that we possess, by the materials that we acquire, and those materials we have to work really hard, deny our humanity, deny our identity sometimes, you know, to acquire those things. And it's like, no, if I want anything, then I'm worth it now. So basically, that is what I want to discuss. Propaganda I'm not falling for. And people have been coming in and out of the streams, and so I feel like I can start reading now. Yeah, should I start reading now? Okay, let me introduce the book first of all. So the book I'm reading, I've not read it before. I just bought it. Yeah, it's one of my recent purchases. If you check my channel, you see a video of my haul. I purchased it last year to celebrate my birthday and all. Sorry, I purchased it last month. Last month. What am I talking about? I purchased it last month as a celebration of my. I mean, in celebration of my birthday. I was just very happy, and I was like, you know what? Let's buy new books. And so I bought this book, Family. It was not just one I bought. I got a bunch of books. And one fun thing I've discovered now, I don't know why I'd never thought of it, yes, that when you buy a bunch of books, you don't have to stick to one and read it up to the very end. You can just switch. You can read some, like, you can pick up a book today and read it like midway, stop, go to another one, stimulate yourself with a different word, get to another word, and then if that one gets boring, you can come back to the one that you have. So this one, I've not opened it at all. I didn't even have it in mind to read anytime soon, but I was like, let me just read it on stream so that whatever feeling surprises that comes my way, like, I can share it with you guys. Yes. So this book is Family by J. California Cooper, and the Los Angeles Times book review says many novels have been written about slavery. Okay, this is intense, but this one is original, stirring, vividly personal, and painfully intense. So there's the back of the book is filled with praise for the author and her work. For this particular book, actually, Family. So about the author, let me read it. J. California Cooper is the author of three collections of stories: Some Soul to Keep, Homemade Love, which won the 1989 American Book Award, and A Piece of Mind, as well as 17 plays, many of which have been produced and performed on stage, public television, radio, and college campuses. Her plays have also been anthologized, and in 1978 she was named Black Playwright of the Year for Strangers, which was performed at the San Francisco Palace of Fine Art. Among her numerous awards are the James Baldwin Writing Award 1988 and the Literary Lion Award from the American Library Association 1988. Miss Cooper lives in a small town in Texas and is the mother of a daughter, Paris Williams. So she's a playwright, I think. Is there on the cover. Of course, she's a playwright. But she's also she writes novels. So it's one of our books I'm going to be reading today. And my post-it note is here for new words, new phrases that might be tough to decipher. Yes. So in the acknowledgements, Miss Cooper writes, to all those of you who have encouraged and supported me, I need that. Oh, same. My daughter Paris, who lifts me with her support and love. My sister Shai, who actually reads my work. Warren the Smith, who runs Hiya and Yon, doing things for me so I have the peace and support to do my work. To Tema Kaplan Barnard College, for her large, generous, kind heart, full of thoughtful doings. Barbara Tatum Barnard College, for her sweet, thoughtful kindness. Amistad Book Place of Houston, Texas. Thank you, Rosa and Dennis, for all the valuable help you have given me. So I'm reading acknowledgement right now, yes. To Read Both and Karen and the two little sons that make Read the most wonderful man and agent I know. To the wonderful people of my last publisher, Michael Deneny, Michelle Hinkson, Sarah Keith, all of them who were and are always so considerate and kind. To the most wonderful new people of my new publisher, Doubleday, Salai Leventhal, Evelyn, Hubbard, Arabella, Heidi, Tina, Nancy, and others. With their encouragement, faith, and yes, thoughtful kindness, I hope never to let them down. Martha Levin, too. My deep abiding appreciation to Nina Mehta and her assistant, Russell Perot, my publicist at Doubleday Anchor, for their consistent attention to and knowledge of their profession and mine. They are excellent in their jobs and perfect for me. Besides being efficient, they are very considerate, kind, and quick. Joao Vonia's Keep With has been a thoughtful friend and supporter. I want to thank her. To Jehovah God, oh, what would I do without him? Okay, Christian. So here we go with chapter 1. But before chapter 1, there is this poem I think that is written here. So I'm going to read out the poem. And the earth mother asked the earth child as she handed it the succulent earth fruit, and when does a tree bear fruit that is not its own? and the earth child threw back its beautiful head, laughing, saying, "Never, never," then took a huge bite from the heavy, full fruit, which sent the rich juice running down its chin, falling, falling over the mountains of the earth child, rolling, rolling down and into the river of love and hate called tears, running, running even over the fields of time, until all the juices flow together again, blending into the ocean of human life. The sun looked down, the moon peered up, listening, moving on, saying, "Everyone knows that. That's what make that's what makes a family." Wow. All right. I wonder I want to ponder deeply about this poem here. Exactly what is the sun exactly what is the sun calling a family? Is it the earth mother and its child? Or is it the idea that, oh, that is the idea. Because the earth mother asks the child, when does a tree bear fruit that is not its own? And the son is replying that everyone knows that that's what makes a family. So basically, I feel like we are heading into this territory of this thing where family is not those people, it's not always people that you were born with or people that you found yourself with on this earth. It's actually the people that you choose to be in your life. Well, that I've gone to that conclusion myself, in the life that I've lived so far. I've come to see that family is not always, those people that are connected to by blood. Anyways, let's start chapter 1. History, lived, not written, is such a thing, not to understand always, but to marvel over. Time is so forever that life has many instances when you can say, once upon a time, thousands of times in one life. There was a time long, long ago when a little man, Egyptian and Greek, came floating up the Nile, walking on a water vessel going to Upper Egypt. With him, another man of African and Italian blood was working his way home to Africa. Upon reaching the end of the Nile, they were friends and decided to travel on to Africa together with a caravan. They were yet poor, buying one donkey to share between them when they started across the Sudan. I can see even now the waves of heat from the close, close sun rising from the earth's vast sands enveloping them. They in their turbans and clean ragged robes, looking straight ahead toward their home. Upon reaching the friend's home and family, the little man looked and fell in love with his friend's sister. In time, in spite of her family's desires, they married. They moved farther down into Africa to live. They had children. After many years, their children had children, and so on and so on. Came the time when the slave catchers came. Some of the couple's living children were taken, stolen, separated, and taken to many lands, sold. A few lived on, they had children. These children had children, Spanish, English, Italian, French, Irish, Scottish, others. Men from lands all over the world. Until one day, near my time, a girl child was born who was to be my grandmother. In time, my mother was born. She lived and was sold. Yet again, that is where I was to come from. Ah, how sad. How sad for all of us. So, once upon another time, a long, long time ago, time didn't mean anything to my people, excepting it was hard times all the time. And time can look endless. That's the time I was born. Some people say we was born slaves, but I don't believe that. I say I was born a free human being, but I was made a slave right after. There was only one person in my family I knew at that time, my mother. We knew we belonged together because she had birthed me. Didn't know my daddy. Well, we knew him but wasn't loved to tell it, and I couldn't call him daddy when I was able to talk. Didn't have no grandmothers living that we knew of, or nothing like that. Mama said she knew her mama had some kin in Africa somewhere, but we didn't know where, and they didn't know nothing about us now, no how. See, her grandmama had been most jet black in her color, or was it her grandmama's mother? Anyway, I do know we did start out being black, just no family except us, my mother and me. And we wasn't together too much, except in the night, and most of them, the master of the land came in and pushed me over and out the bed. I'd lay there on the floor with my eyes closed, sucking my thumbs till he was gone. Then she'd be mine again. I would rock her to sleep and myself too. I cried because she cried. We was both tired of the life we was living. I wasn't nothing but a baby child, but I was still tired of things I didn't even know what name to call him. Okay, so this brought my eyes are watering a bit. My mother had 9 more children for the master of the land, but they was all sold when they got to be about 3 years old by the mistress of the land, because they was too white and looking like the master of the land. That and the money. See, my mama had me by a black man so she could have her a brown baby. She wouldn't tell who my daddy was so they wouldn't hurt him or sell him, because they hadn't been let to do no loving together. She said they was in love, but that wasn't loud. They didn't get to be in love no more though, because she was watched hard. And I got punished extra lot. And I was even still his property, even if I wasn't his own child. My mama was very light because her father had been a master of the land. That's why I didn't have no grandmother on her side, because grandmother had killed herself rather than stay in slavery and keep on bringing more babies into the world to be made more slaves or whatever anybody wanted them to be. That's what I hear tell she said. Because my mama hated white folks. She wanted a brown baby. See, my daddy being a dark-skinned man made me a tan color or whatever God would call it. But a brown slave or a white-colored slave, what's the difference? I was about 12 years old when my mama must decided she just couldn't take life no more. All her babies gone except me. Don't care who the daddy was, they were still her children. And always having to hack into the white master of the land and get another baby to lose out into anywhere land. She just couldn't take it no more. See? The mistress watched her husband, the master, hard, but not hard enough to keep him in her own bed. Because it's 1,000 excuses to be out the house on a country farm that size. And when my mama gave birth to another white baby, the mistress of the land wouldn't hate her husband. She would hate my mama more. And this the truth. I've been in that big house, clean or something like that, when white ladies be talking and they say that them women is sex fiends or something like that, and blame it all on the slave women. Just like they wasn't slave or that they had made them babies all by their own selves or forced them white men. Anyway, my mama had a hard life. All day she belonged to the mistress for the work in the big house, and the night he chose, she belonged to the master. Didn't have her own self no time. If somebody with a mind will surely go crazy like that, because no matter what you think, it don't count for nothing. She didn't have nothing of her own but me, and I belonged to them too, and I could go anytime. They told her that often. See, my mama was pretty, and that made the mistress hate her, and smart. That made the master want to rule her more. They didn't want her to have just what only she was born with. Some of the other slaves didn't like her neither, but my mama was sweet to me. I remember that special day because I had walked in the house side my mama washing 3 tub loads of clothes, big loads too. Then we both been sent out to the fields to help there too. It was plumb dark when we staggered in, leaning on each other, too tired to eat, almost too tired to sleep had we could at that time. I was crying a little. Don't know exactly why, cause nothing nothing really hurting me. I was just tired. Just tired. Tired. Maybe it was cause tomorrow was going to be just the same thing all over again. A new name for the same day over and over again. That was what made me feel like crying. I don't know. We put ourselves down on that conscious bed and lay there breathing hard. We had to get up though, because we had a few more things to do with feeding the rest of the slaves from the field, folding those washed clothes, then cleaning up after the slaves' supper. It was that day the master of the land said my mama was going to go for to be his son's nightmate too, smiling down at her like he was doing her some special kind of good favor. Now, that man's son was young, and the master had many slaves on his land. He knew my mama was old in her body, even as young as she was supposed to be in years. He had to know my mama was tired, and everybody knows bad work and being tired. Isn't that why people try to get somebody else to do their work? People will give you the money they love and hate to part with just to keep from doing their own work. Ain't that true? Even now, today, in your day, see, he could have picked somebody else. She done already carried and had 9 of his babies for what he got good feeling from and good money for. Why didn't he? I don't found out you can't see into nobody's mind, no matter what comes out their mouth, nor what their actions are. But I know for my own self, when somebody don't give a damn about you and treat you like you ain't nothing. Now, I didn't wish nobody else, no other woman, no bad luck. But to have to use their body when they don't want to. But that was my mama. And I wished he had picked somebody else. Later on, I know he wished he had too. At 12 years old, I was beginning to understand life, feeling it. That day she came in from her last jobs and helped me finish mine, washing tin plates for the next morning. Then she took me into that old, dark, broke down chicken house in the black of the night and held me to her close, close. She squeezed me so tight it hurt my bones because I was already sore from work. But I loved being in my mama's arms, so I never said a word. She cried and I cried again. I didn't know just what exactly he was crying about that time, but there were so many things to cry about. It didn't matter. She rubbed my face, my back and arms, held me away from her, looked at me and cried harder. I did too, because who likes to see their mama cry? Lord, not me. We finally slowed down crying. She wiped her eyes, then my eyes, with the tail of her worn-out dress of that old shitty color sackcloth. Then she leaned over and drew some lines on the ground, just sniffling all the time. I know now there was 12 lines. She said, "That's how old you are, Clara." Her name was Fami. My name was Clara. I sniffed and said, "Yes, mama, ma'am." She said, "They're gonna count you a woman soon for sure." I almost smiled because I thought that might be good, but she only cried more with no sound now. I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Don't cry like that, mama." She said, "Lord, I can't help you none, child." I held her tight and said, "Yes, you do, mama." She heaved a big sigh and said, "No, I can't help you none, baby. Mama can't even help herself." I held onto her tight. She looked down at me, rubbed my tears from my eyes, wiped my running nose and said, "No matter what some ever happens, you remember I loves you. I loves you very hard, you my child." She was squeezing my shoulder and it hurt, but I still didn't do nothing but look up at her. She said, You always gonna remember that." I nodded through my tears, and I still didn't know exactly why we was crying this time, but I did not care. Somehow, this little piece of time we was having together was worth anything to me. It was our time, and hadn't nobody appointed it to us. It was just ours, and we took it because we had a mind of our own, even if we did have to hide to use them. Then we heard those damn awful footsteps. We knew it was somebody white because they was walking in shoes. All the slaves was barefoot, you know that. My mama let loose of me and jumped up, knocking her head on some wood cross. Knocking her head on some wood crossed the door. She never hollered to show her pain. Just ran out the chicken house, leaving me behind. Some reason I never even got to think of made me just sitting there and cry like my heart was going to break. I was feeling so low, so sad. I couldn't help myself from all those tears. I finally got up and dried my eyes, brushed the dirt and dried chicken dodo off my piece of clothes. and wound my way to our shack in the blackest night I ever been in. See, life made that night black, not the sky or the sun being gone. My mama, feeling bad and being hot, hitting her head and all that crying made that night so dark. Sometimes, when life be hitting you with a sledgehammer, it don't stop till it don't drove you all the way down. Far as you can go down to the bottom. And that's the end of chapter 1. So, first of all, when I bought this book, I did not, I had it, I read it back here. So I had an inkling that it was going to be about slavery in America. Yes. And I don't know why, for some reason, yeah, I I I had this big expectation of it. Like, I felt it wasn't going to be this trauma porn kind of, storytelling. I felt it was going to be more introspective and have more depth. Do you get? And reading chapter 1, I see that I was right. Yes, and I like that the title of the book is also family, because as I keep growing along in life, yes, I see now that I have very complex ideas about family. You understand? And my ideas of family is not traditional in any way. You understand? So when I see topics or articles or conversations or books that you know talk about family, I'm interested, because I like to see what other people have to say about something that is not traditional and nuclear the way we have been forced to see it all this while. Yes, that family is just your father, your mother, your brothers, your siblings, or your sisters. Yeah, like, oh, your family is just the person that gave birth to you, people that gave birth to you, people that house you, that feed you, that clothe you. I've come to say that that's not all that family is. You get? I've come to see that squeezing ourselves as human beings, squeezing ourselves into a box of nuclearity, just to have to identify as, oh, I belong to a family, I'm from somewhere, is hurtful. It's hurtful. Like, if it's that you're like, okay, I'm from a nuclear family, but I'm open, to being families with people that I don't even look like, or I don't even have the same any similarities with. You get? That is different than forcing people to carry this shame and stigma because they don't come from this nuclear box, that is not even real in the first place. When people say it takes a village to raise a child, it's not a joke, it's literal. You can't raise a child in that box of family. You get? Everybody's raising that one child. So if everybody's raising that one child, how is the child supposed to process family or define it for themselves? Obviously, it's not going to just be that people that you go to sleep at night under the same roof with as your family. Like, my own opinion, child. But there's also the big deal of this book, which is that the suffering of slaves, in segregated, not even segregated, but like slavery America. Yes. And I feel like somebody that grew up in Africa, in Nigeria, of course, there's intense empathy you get for those people. You understand? Thinking about it is like, if I was not born in that generation, like if I was born in that generation, would I have remained in this continent? Would I have had to go through what my family went through, in a sense? So, anyways, there's somewhere this author is going. Obviously, there's somewhere she's going, and I want to go there with her. So, and I'm so happy I'm not reading this by myself. I'm happy I'm reading it on stream, because the emotions I already feel in my heart. Also, forgive me for, like, maybe I'm not reading it well. I'm trying to be true to the text, and I'm not going to say the slurs that this little child says, because this was all that they knew. So, and now we know better, so I won't say those slurs reading them. And I have to say, I have to read it the way she reads, she narrates it. That will give respect to, like, somebody being forced to assimilate to a culture that is not really theirs, you know because there's force of death, there's threat of death and all of that. Yes, so they have to speak English in the way they know how. You understand? So I'm not going to minimize those words. You know, if I make a mistake, I'll go back, I'll repeat myself in a way that I understand, and a way that maybe you too you understand it. You understand? So let's take a deep breath. And let's go to chapter 2. So far the vocabulary is very simplistic, so I don't there's no like words, but I feel like I might want to keep some phrases and some sayings. Like this last one she says to end the chapter is, sometime sometime when life be hitting you with a sledgehammer, it don't stop till it don't drove you all the way down, far as you can go down, to the bottom. I feel like I want to keep that somewhere. So chapter 2. I was so tired, so worn out, inside my body and head, and outside where my muscles was. I just fell into the bed with them conscious, just rustling under me. I didn't even wash up or take off my clothes like my mama made me to do. I just wanted to sleep. I was trying to keep my eyes open till mama came in so I could hold her, make her warm and me too, but I was too tired. Sleep had dragged me so far down till I could feel I was being shaken, but it seemed like it was another world somewhere. I knew it couldn't be, just couldn't be morning already. But the shaking kept up, and somebody, Miss Elise, was calling my name. Clara, Clara, child, wake up, wake up. Miss Elise was the old woman who watched out for the babies while their mamas was in the fields. I pulled with all my might to open my eyes, to move. Then she said, Clara, child, your mama done killed herself. You wake up and come on over to my shack where them other children be. They won't see you there so fast while they mad. She don't kill the master too. Yes. Yes. Come on now. Child, come on. Heist yourself up and move. I was wide awake in a second, crying again and scared. I grabbed Miss Elise's skirt and stumbled after her to her shack and tumbled in with the other slave babies under the raggedy covers. Miss Elise cautioned with a fierce whisper, Hush! You be quiet now. Don't. You're gonna get me in trouble too. Hush! Then in another moment, in a little softer whisper, she said, I know you hurt and you're sad because your mama gone. But if you want to leave, hush now. Hush. I lay in the dark, listening to the sounds of the other children sleeping, thinking if I want to leave. But I don't want to leave. My mama was gone. I didn't have nobody now. Maybe Miss Ellis, but she belonged to everybody the master told her to keep care of. Then my mind landed on the master. The master. The master wasn't no master no more. He only was going to have 6 feet of land now, and he couldn't command nobody to come to where that would be. But that didn't make me feel no better about my mama. She was gone forever. I even rather have the master back if I could get my mama back. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to die. But all I could do was lay there and be still and hush. I found out later when the slaves wasn't so scared to whisper about it that Mama had gone to the sun like she was ordered to do. But on her way from whatever place that was set up for them to meet, the master had caught her to ask her about it and his son. They was in the farmyard and she just picked up a pitchfork and stabbed him with it. Hello, everybody, break here. I just want to insert that clip of Pearl stabbing that man that came that she liked in the farm. I don't know if you watched Pearl. That scene. They was in the farmyard and she just picked up a pitchfork and stabbed him with it. Then she went somewhere near where they killed the dogs, got where they killed the hogs, got her a knife, went back and finished him to death while he screamed for help. No help came because them slave wasn't gonna move. They might be blamed for whatever was happening. Then she stabbed herself. She was bent double over the fence, bled to death standing up. When everything was long over, a month or two, I could be seen around more in the open again. And when the young master of the land needed somebody, he took me. I was still those 12 lines old. I had gone out to that chicken house and got a rock for every line my mama had marked out so I could know my age now that the only other who would know was gone. So I know I was 12 when he took me. He sneaked so his mama wouldn't know. But when I caught a baby, she knew. She called me. Only me, that 12-year-old slut. She didn't call him nothing but son. She didn't hate me like she had my mama though. Cause I guess this was her son, not her husband. I believe she was glad that old master was dead and gone. Yes, I was a woman at 12, and sure, was one at 13 years old when I had my first baby for the master of the land. Even having him, I still didn't have nobody. You all know that. My mind opened up and I understood my mama. I was my mama now. That's slavery. They all alike, ain't nothing. I went back to that dark, broken down chicken house many a day and just sit and think and cry. My first baby was a very light baby, almost white, looked like a fresh peach, rosy cream. It was a girl. Lord, how I cried for this girl child right after I got through being glad I had my baby. Thought I had somebody of my own to love and be with. I was a fool. I forgot that child did not belong to me. And when I thought of her future, I pained in my heart. I would hold the little sweet body in my arms, fondle her arms, fingers and hands. Her tiny little ears, her soft little tummy, she would press tiny little rose petal soft lips to my full breast and kick her strong little legs and feet against my body. I would look at her through tears and love, because I knew somebody had already decided what her life was to be, how far she could go in life, in anything, for as long as she drew breath on this earth. They had done decided she would never go to school, never learn to read and count, never be married in the right way in front of the Lord, and man, never be in love because she don't know how long before they be selling her man love. Never have a new store-bought dress was nice, a new pretty doll, just never nothing she wanted. I looked up to God to talk to him, say something, ask everything. But I couldn't find words strong enough to say what I felt. I knew he knew anyway. There was many a thousand of me all around this land and I knew they had talked to him like I wanted to. I didn't look up at him long though, because if these white folks think you praying, you can catch the worstest beating in your life. See, they want him all to themselves too. They want it all. Well, they sure got it. I knew most of them I seen and heard of didn't believe in him, right? No way. Cause of all the devilish things they would do under them laws they made up for themselves. They just used God on us slaves. But I believed if God was love like I had read out the Bible, he never made us for to be slaves and suffer like this. And I never did believe they had all God to themselves. I knew he wasn't scared of being whipped or killed by them if he didn't obey. So I prayed to him right on, but I did it quiet inside my head. See, some people put their heads in big pots when they pray, so the sound wouldn't carry out when they spoke out loud. I knew he could hear me no matter which way I prayed, so I did it my way. Anyway, I knew no matter what life had in store for either me or my baby, I would love her always. So that's what I named her. Always. Oh. I mumbled it around the big house so they thought I said something like Alice or something. I don't care what they wrote down. My baby's name was Always. Some folks laughed at that name around the slave shacks, but I didn't care. It was something. It was something didn't nobody have but me and my baby. Was that name? Till I realized one day people use that word all the time. But still I knew what I meant and they didn't have that. Oh, short chapters. So that's chapter 2. And I think we should get to chapter 3 and we'll stop for the day, yeah? The editing of the book is very simplistic. Like you can see a lot of spacing between the words you get, so it's not very hard, to get through pages, and it's not hard to pick out the words. The only difficulty I'm experiencing is in my cadence, like how to flow, because at the end of the day this is not following rigid grammar rules. Yes, so um I'm just like keeping up with Clara. So the name of our protagonist is Clara. So let's read chapter 3 and we'll close our books. Okay. Now, time passed by slow and fast all at the same time. All endless time passed. And when the young master of the land came at me again and again, I found out I wasn't as strong as my mama. I hated him. Oh, I hated him. I never felt love with him or about him. And the men I could have loved freely knew I was hissing. So I think by hissing they mean hello, hi. I think by hissing they mean his as in property. Hi, unknown XYZ. Thank you for joining the stream. So if you're just joining, I'm reading this book Family by J. California Cooper, and it is a story about this character named Ruhani. Okay, hello Ruhani, my name is King. Thank you for joining the stream. So I'm reading this book by J. California Cooper, and it's titled Family, and it's centered around the character named Clara, who was in who lived in slavery America. Yes. um Hi Rahani, my name is King. Yes, I see your messages. Yes, thank you for joining. Yeah, so Clara is the main character and she's the one narrating the story here. So I've already read through um chapter two chapters. Yes, and so now I'm in the final chapter. I'm reading for the stream. That is chapter 3, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. Thank you for joining the stream. I hope you enjoyed the story. So I'm going to begin chapter 3 again for those people that are just joining the stream. Okay, if you want to catch me on time with my stream, subscribe and turn on notification so that you can keep up with my, like, you can catch me when I'm going, like when I start my streams. Yes. Okay. I don't understand. Please, for what? Like, what does that mean? I don't get. So I'm reading chapter 3 now. Again, let's start again. Now, time passed by slow and fast, all at the same time. All endless time passed. And when the young master of the land came at me again and again, I found out I wasn't as strong as my mama. I hated him. Oh, I hated him. I never felt love with him or about him, and the men I could have loved freely knew I was his, so they stayed away from me. And so, well, I just hated him, not only for owning my body, but for blocking my mind, letting my heart dry and shrivel up, because he didn't have nothing to do but hate him. And I know he didn't really like me, sure couldn't love me. He just shoved me out when he be through using me. Didn't ever pay no mind to his children by me, except his son. Just counted them as property to keep for work or sell. My son, he paid mine too, cause he looked just like him and he was white. He had my son whipped so hard, so hard. I like to die watching my son bleed from that whip. See, he wanted him to have stripes across his back and be known to be a slave so he wouldn't run off trying to be free. My son finally did run off. He was handed to it. He was only 14 years old. I couldn't help him and his daddy was killing him. The young master had finally married up with a sweet-faced, laughing little lady who might have tried to be nicer to the slaves if he had done right. Some people have evil mean streaks in their souls, no matter what happens in their lives. Other people, a few, have kind souls till some other people mess with them so much they can't take much more of nothing, and then they get that mean evil streak in them to fight back with. It's a few others we ain't got time to talk about now. The young mistress told the young master, "We will always love only each other, no slaves to bed with like some other no account." I don't understand that guy, oh, Raji. Hello. I don't know. I don't have mods, so I cannot filter out like conversations like that. So I'm just ignoring them. Maybe after the stream, I'm going to um, block them, I think. So let's keep going. We will always love only each other. No slaves to bed with like some other no account low white. He agreed because she was new and he loved her. But time kept passing like it does, and pretty soon he was at me or somebody again. The young mistress took to hating us and him, and soon after that, life got hard up there in that house and out there in the fields even. She was everywhere where she thought he might be when he wasn't with her. The old mistress just laughed to herself as she ate them big chunks of pecan fudges because it was her son, not her husband. And didn't we belong to him? Couldn't he do whatever he wanted with us? Besides, she told her, white women was not ladies if they thought too much of that. Yeah, just after the stream, I guess I'll just block block him. You get, so that's okay. They should be glad if their husbands relieve themselves out in the garbage bin. Now, see, I have noticed how people lie to each other when it suits them. I mean, they will mess with your whole life, your whole mind, just to get some point on their side. That old woman knew what was right and what was wrong. She couldn't have forgot what she had suffered, but she did not expect to have no more body to love her again in life, so she would pretend that that was the way she had planned it, wanted it, and she would let that young woman suffer, help her suffer, because misery does love company. If misery is in a evil mean body, that old woman mistress used to tell the house slaves to come to her with their problems and she would help them with counsel. Oh, oh God. Wow. So I just got like a text message from MTN, and if you know MTN, when they send a message, they just like cause your phone to switch off from whatever it's doing to see their flash messages and whatnot. So it's just MTN that caused the interruption. Sorry to people that are watching the stream. It's just MTN. When MTN sends a message, everything you're doing stops until you ignore the message. Like, I don't know what's the point of that. And I don't know why they have that effect on phones. Like, can't you just minimize it? So where was I? We're talking about the old mistress here, and Clara was talking about how the old mistress is just lying, and um, she's also miserable, but she doesn't want to be alone in her misery, so she's pretending that she didn't go through that, or she didn't suffer the way the new mistress was suffering, you know, with his promiscuous ways with the slaves and all of that. Anyways, we're continuing. Child, I wouldn't go to her for nothing. None of her lies went for nothing to them house slaves. Oh, okay. Thank you, Raji. None of her lies went for nothing to them house slaves. I went to Miss Ellis. She was almost like family to me and my children. I knew I could trust her for the truth. Time kept passing. Pretty soon, young mistress had two babies for our master. I had had six, but only four of mine had done lived. See, when I was still very young and had to go into the fields to work, I didn't know much about keeping babies. They wouldn't let us carry our babies on our backs with us or nothing. We had to lay them down by the side of the field and leave them there for 4 or 5 hours till it was time for us to eat something. Then we could feed our babies. I laid my first one out there, wrapped in a gunny sack. It was a boy, and he kicked that sack off and lay out there in that baking sun all them hours. His little tender skin was just about cooked. He died from them burns. I cried. Oh, how I cried. You don't want them to grow to be slaves, but you do want your children to grow up. The next one I lost, I put him up high off the ground in a shade tree, and he got bit by a scorpion or a snake. Couldn't save him neither. Yes, lost both of them. As they died, I dug their graves, wrapped them in their gunny sack clothes, and covered them with the land that belonged to the master. Miss Ellis was the only one had time to be there, and she said the few words she knew. God, take this baby with you. Then he was back each time to go on. Don't miss a step for the master. All our babies looked alike. Now, that's really something. If one or two is superior and does not show it. But young mistress did not realize the greatest difference of all. Ours would be slaves, sold or used or misused. Hers would not. I could see all my children were going to be fine looking people. I loved them all as much as I was allowed to, because they all went to the community shack to be raised. But always was somehow my favorite. I guess because she was the first in mine after my mother. I always stick by the community shack and took her into my little shack with me. I knew mostly the night the young master was coming, and when I made a mistake and he came when I didn't expect him, it was like that child was grown. She would lay under that bed and not make a sound. Sometimes when he left, she would be asleep with her thumb in her mouth, like I used to be. I'll gently haul her out and into my arms and rock us both back to sleep. But that didn't happen too often, because the young master had plenty women on that farm to take himself, and did. He was his best machine on that farm, because he made many a baby to sell. I could see always was going to be a sure enough pretty girl, and she had such sweet ways. Oh, that child was sweet. Heart just full of love. She loved everything: trees, flowers, cats, dogs, cows, pigs, horses, rocks, people, babies, everything. She would share any and everything she had, even beg you to share yours with somebody else. I worried about her heart, so full of love. Would you be able to stand what I knew what was in store? I thought I knew what her life was going to be even before she lived it. So as her I loved her hard as I could, much as I could, and kept her stomach full of all the good food I could still beg or borrow. I knew the day would come when I, like my mama, would not be able to help her. So I did all I could do while I could do it. Even so, there were times she was struck near dumb and left with ugly bruises from the mistress's hands. I could only hold her and kiss them cruel marks when I came in from the field. I would think hard of running away with all my children, but then I would look out across the world, far as I could see, and I didn't know nothing about what was out there, or whichever way freedom might be. I thought white folks was everywhere and owned everything on earth. Yes, I heard the rumors running around about some of the white people who did not like us to be slaves. But we wasn't going to believe that. Believe some of these same kind of people who took everything we had from us, beat us half to death sometimes, hated us all the time, was going to set us free. White folks, you'd have had to be full crazy to believe something like that. More rumors was round said some slaves had run and made it to freedom, not no slave no more. I wondered where they ran to, because the masters had told us how them people got out there in the north, thought slave meat was good for eating and ate them, and that way off, far off, up more north, they hated slaves with any color to the skin and killed them right off. First sight they had of them. So I wondered where them who had made it to freedom had run off. Sometimes I would just stand, squeezing my eyes at the stars in the sky, and try to guess which way was north, or whatever way freedom was. But the sky is so big and endless like time. I couldn't make nothing of it. I couldn't run off anyway. My children was too small and I couldn't leave them. Couldn't. Sometimes I'll think if I could read, I could help all of us. I'll be in the house cleaning and I'd be dusting those books and I would sleep one out with me when I'd leave, knowing I'd be beat most to death if I'm caught with it. But sometimes you just don't give a damn no more when you're trying to learn how to live some other kind of life. And I thought the answer might be in all them crooked marks on that white paper. I couldn't tell nobody I got it. Nobody. All I could do is sit in the outhouse or that chicken house and stare at that book. Turn it one side up, then the other. I finally buried one in the ground in that chicken house to save for always. Maybe we could learn it together. I needed help, and there was none. None. But still, ever once in a while, I'd go dig up my book and stare into it some more, then bury it again. I now know the name of that book. One thing really made me think and made me want to read so bad was a new man slave brought here in chains. He was caught talking and even reading something to the other slaves in a shack one night. That man they called Boy was beat with that whip till he was gone dead because he kept laughing between his screams of pain. The beater had to even stop and rest. The beater was tired. You know how they must have beat that man? But he kept laughing between his screams, saying, I can read, and the Lord God hates you for what he is doing to my people. Then he laughed again, say, I can read. He screamed them words till he couldn't scream no more. Then he mumbled them into the ground, into his own blood, mucus, and tears. That's how he died. Them was his last words on earth. I can read. The truth has set me free, and I know you ain't nothing, white man. The Lord ain't give us to you. Slash, whoosh, slash, went that whip again. But he was most gone. Couldn't hardly hear him then, but he said it one more time. I can read. Then he died. The master bade them keep whipping him even if he was dead. Ain't that something sad? And still, that wasn't the meanest thing I ever seen done on that place that was my home. Home. All I could do for myself and my children was to add a stone to my little collection hoard every year to keep our ages clear. That was mine. That was us. Nobody knew about it. So they couldn't take it away. I couldn't count in a real way, but I knew I had a rock for every year for everybody in my real family. Not my slave brothers and sisters, but my little children I birthed, my family. One day, when the family was about to have some special party, I was called in the house to do some extra cleaning. I was doing my work, but I had my last baby on my hip. I could still do my work good because I was used to walking, holding a child. See, in the fields where they make you lay your baby down over to the side while you walk 3 or 4 hours before you come back to see about that baby, well, some of them babies have died from sunstroke or snake bites or be eaten up a bit by something that was hungry. I learned to hide my baby in my sack or tote it on my back or carry it in my arm. I had trained myself to walk good like that so the seer wouldn't stop me from doing it. Anyway, the young mistress come in and was looking at my baby who was looking like her husband. God. I just kept walking. Then that mistress leaped at me and commenced to slapping me with her hands first, then a poker that was kept by the fireplace. She hit my baby. Oh Lord. Now, I could take a beating from her, but I was holding my baby and my baby was too young to take a beating. Well, I took that poker away from her. We was both of us shocked. I was shocked to be a fool to struggle with the mistress of my life, and she was shocked at the sudden change in our way situation rose. And we was like stuck in time, just staring at each other. Her arm raised to strike, and the poker raised in my hand to strike her back. Now, we stood there like we were stone, looking hard in each other's eyes. And from somewhere the idea came that this woman who was built like me, shaped like me, had eyes, nose, ears, arms, legs, and blood, just like me, didn't know what she was doing in this here thing either. The master of the land was master of us both and all of us in this thing, and she was captured in a net just like I, as a slave in this net of time. But she loved him, the master, while I did not. She had her pain all right, but I knew mine was worse because I had a kind of pain, and my own and my children's too. And he liked her, which made her life better. He didn't care a damn for me. I was nothing, and nothing I had for him was nothing either. She should have helped me, not struck me for being a slave to him. I would have helped her. Our eyes had stared so hard they had to blink. We blinked. I put the poker back and left, holding my baby, who I had made safe for a time. I was supposed to be helping to bake in the kitchen then, but I went to that old broke down chicken house again and cried over my baby. Another girl as white as her daddy, heading for trouble all her life. No, I was wrong. She wasn't heading for trouble. She was already in it. Then, after a while, I commenced to thinking about my mother who had killed herself. I thought and I thought. After another little while, I quit crying and went out with my baby in my arm, gathering every kind of poison weed I knew and some I didn't know. I started crying again, thinking about what I was planning to do to my children. Tears and snot mingled together with the blood from the scratches in my hands, but I kept picking. Wouldn't change my mind, couldn't. I looked out over them beautiful fields, up into that beautiful sky, so full of soft white clouds, and the sun so warm and good to shine down on this earth. I saw them tall, beautiful trees, weaving and waving in the winds that come from all across the earth. I saw birds. Birds, what was free to fly off or stay when whatever they wanted, free. Better off than me and my slave sisters and brothers. Even the snakes and bugs at my feet was free. That little mosquito was free, but not me. I was crying when I told God, He don't need to give me everything, just mercy, just a little mercy. That would be kind enough. I didn't see no change in store for me though. And I knew soon as that white mistress reported I had raised my hand with that poker at her, I would be tied down and beat to the very end of my life. My babies would see that. They would have no more mother, worthless even as she was to them. They needed me for whatever I could do for them. If it wasn't nothing but to steal food to fill their bellies. I built me a fire and boiled them poison wheat, made a kind of dinner. Then I went and got my children from all round where they were, most at poor old Miss Ellis's. I kissed Miss Ellis, surprised her, but she didn't know what I was getting ready to do. Kissed her goodbye, but didn't say it because she's the only person I could think of, almost like a piece of family. I took my children, my beautiful children, served their tin plates and fed them. It was a little bitter, yet I forced them to eat. I really meant for always to die right beside me because she was the oldest, and I knew her hard times was right on for her soon. Then we all laid down. I knew we was dying, but they didn't. But they lay down like I told them and slept. Do you know what happened? I died. But my children who I was trying to save lived. Some kind of way they only got sick. Oh, very sick, but not dead. I died and left them children and always in that terrible world. In these bitter times, all alone. Now I was dead. But I could feel my heart still grieving. My soul was not at rest. Was it because my children was left behind? Oh Lord. Now I'm going to tell you something I don't understand, not even to this day, and this is many, many years later. I know now when people die, they lay down in their graves, yet. I'm saying yes, there's no year, just they lay down in their graves till the resurrection. But before I got to my grave, I grieved and cried and screamed, begging for my children being all alone, begging God to let me stay with them. But my body laying dead on that construct bed never moved a lick. It was too late. I was dead. Somehow, I didn't go nowhere. I saw them find my body. I heard what everybody said. I didn't really have to listen because it seemed I knew what all was in everybody's mind before they spoke out. I watched them dump my body in a tight little grave off in some dumpy ground in the slave cemetery. Watched them cover it up. Watched my babies crying for their mama. Watched them being slapped by old mistress for making all that noise. Watched them hold back their tears. I was watching because I wasn't in my body. I was at a distance, yet I was close. Now, God didn't say nothing to me. Wasn't no angel sent down to tell me nothing about what was happening to me. The devil didn't say nothing either. Thank God. I was just left, just out there in nothing, being nothing. Some way though, I knew why I was being left out. I could have cried for joy, but I didn't know how to. With my new self I had, I believe I was left out here so I could watch over my children, my blood, my always, just for a little while. That is why I'm able to tell you this now. They forgot about me for many years of time. I have seen many, many things. Saw times change, saw times stay the same. I understood at last many things with a new kind of sense. I could almost read all minds. I did read many minds, many times. Mankind is not so complex as he is foolish. That's what makes things complicated for them. Let's keep this saying here. I found out if I had waited, lived, somehow 20 more years, I would have been set free at the end of that war. Times wasn't much better from the ground up, but we was then free to suffer on our own, for our own, by our own, from our own to our own. Free. I should have waited. Anyway, the most important thing was I was able to watch my children, but I mostly watched always. First, I must tell you something though. This dead but not gone thing was not like being a ghost, I don't think. I seem to know all kinds of different knowledge floating around in space. I couldn't touch nothing, but I could think and I could move. I have to be careful about going off to sleep though, because once I dozed off by the side of the ocean, it was so peaceful, so beautiful, such a marvelous work of God. I just lay my soul down there by a tree whose shape was all wild like the oceans. I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was 60 years later. It went by quick as a minute. Look what I must have missed. Time is different wherever I am. I am not like it is on earth. No wonder God moves in his own time. It's not the same as we know it. I'll tell you something else too. The sky is round as the earth, only bigger, larger, huge, ever so huge that it holds many planets and things. That's why it is endless. It's round. So we're going to the end of chapter 3. Yay! Success! Finally. Oh, okay. Before I forget, I want to make note of this saying here that she is it saying or is it phrase or I don't know. Let's just make note of it. And the saying is, mankind is not so complex, not so complex as he is foolish. That's what makes things complicated for them. So, how about it? How was my throat is? I should have gotten pure water to drink here. Anyways, how about it? I feel like so many things happen in chapter 3. I feel like chapter 3 is the defining chapter of how the rest of the story is going to go. Yeah. I no not how it's going to go, but it's kind of like how like what the real basis of the story is. I thought maybe we'd see Clara grow up or escape the farm, yeah, the ranch, whatever they call that place. But she died. She actually died, and funny enough, she did not pass on. Yeah, she stayed. She stayed where she was, and she stayed because she wanted to watch over her children, which I assume is going to be very, very terrible, like the things that she's going to see. But when she's narrating, she's just giving us an overview of her experience. Yeah, I think in the following chapters, we're going to get into like final details of the things that she saw, like watching her children grow up and be free from the slave master's hands. Um, One very interesting thing in chapter 3 was that scene where the mistress was beating her up, yeah, and she was just like, "Hey, you can beat me, but don't beat my child." You get? And she turned around and she attacked her. She held her. She took the poker stick and she was like, "Hey, mind yourself," And in that moment, yeah, I think in that moment, that is a real picture of what is called intersectionality. um at the end of the day, this white man, he's the head of the system of oppression. He's at the head of the system. He's the one perpetuating and reinforcing oppression. Okay, now the white woman, she is only a step above the slaves because she's white. She was lucky to be born white. If she was black, she was born with another skin tone that is not white, she would have been destroyed, just like all the slaves. Because and I think the mistress, she realized that in that moment where after marrying him, she was like, "No, you can't go to other slaves or in this house. You will not sleep with other slaves and make babies." And he was like, "I don't hear you." And then he went after other slaves, yeah, and he had babies. Like, he was even worse than his father. Let's not say he's worse than his father, because at least he did not focus on only Clara. He went to different um women, different slaves, like women in his farm, and it's like that moment, between the two women, in that moment, the white woman believes that she is free from um the white woman believes that she deserves equality with her husband. You understand? But does the white woman understand that her place in the system is also one of oppression? You get? It's also one of oppression, in that her race allows her to step on people that are just like her, women. But just because she's of this different race, she's also an oppressor. You understand? And then she has money. She's married to a rich farm owner. So that farm owner can get slaves and make sure that she does not do any unpaid labor in the house. She does not even lift a finger, because there are slaves that are here doing that for her. So in that moment here, yes, we're talking about slavery and the system of slavery back then. Yes. So now let's bring it to us now, like to us now in this moment. I want to approach this topic very delicately, you get, without seeming like I'm on a certain side of things. But I want to approach it in the sense like, when we're talking about feminism in this country, you understand, it's very easy for us to lump everybody into this category of women. We are all women, we have women body parts, and that's the end of the conversation. And that's not the end of the conversation, please. In this country, we don't have a different race. We are homogeneous, yes. And this is just a tangent now I'm going off on. And I just want to say it, that when women are talking about women's rights in this country, we need to be intersectional. Okay, there's intersectionality of tribe in this country. We have to accept that. There's intersectionality of class differences, like high income earners, low income earners, like women, yes. And then there's intersectionality of age. I think age is very important in this country. Age is very important, like to consider the fact of feminism in this country. If we want to go anywhere, you get in this country. So using those like, there are some rights that some women fight for in this country, which is valid, yes. But those women get caught up in conversations about their rights, forgetting the privilege of their class, the privilege of their location, of their tribe, where they live. Let's not, should we even say tribe? I want to say tribe because we have to be aware that the women in the north have it hard. When I mean hard, the women in the north have it hard. And most of the time when we consider women in the north, we look at them like, oh, it's hopeless, I beg, the system is too ingrained and all of that. And it's like, no, these women, they are still fighting. Okay. They're fighting in the sense of they most of the time they're fighting a losing battle. And like, I don't know if you've gone through the videos on my channel, but there's this playlist I made for when I traveled around Nigeria, and I ended up going to the north. So when I lived there for a while, the things I saw in that short period, I didn't stay there too long, but the things I saw in that short period was horrifying in a different way. Because at the end of the day, am I not just presenting as a woman as well? I have no power. I don't have the income status to save anybody, you know? And it just really made me feel so impotent in that moment. It just felt like, wow, what are we talking about? You understand? We need to be more thorough in our conversations about feminism. You understand? Like, I saw girls, 16-year-old girl. This girl, her own case was so interesting in the sense that she didn't want to be married. She didn't want to be sold off, but her father was selling her off, insistent, you know. And her own case was unique in the sense that she had already had issues with childbirth before she was 15, maybe 14, you know. And the child didn't make it. And then the child, how did she even get, how did she even conceive? It was through assault. Okay. And she had made peace with the child, hiding it from her father. Okay. And then because she was hiding so bad, and she was very ignorant of what it took to be pregnant, she lost that baby. And now she's scarred from that whole process. Before she can even begin to breathe a year after, father is saying that, okay, get ready to marry this old man. I'm telling you, if you see the man, oh, I think even your grandfather will be younger than that man. And this girl will come to where we were, because the person I was living with was kind of like a refuge for her in a way. Not really refuge, but she hung out with her, and she was treated like a human being, and it was nice. And so she was frustrated, and her mother could not protect her even from the father's demand. Yes. So she would come to the house where we were staying, and she would start crying. Oh, if you see this girl crying, oh, child, she would be crying. And do you know why our tears were horrifying? It's because in our hearts, no matter how much we try to comfort this girl, in our hearts we were already sure that her father would force her to get married to this ancient of days. We were sure, but we like what we could, only thing we could do was to postpone the terror. And how the postponement worked was because she had a cousin living with them. That one they brought her when she was very young. So that cousin living with them, that one they've already signed and sealed the fact that she's going to get married to another ancient of days. You get. And that one had made her peace with it. If you see the way the girl, she was younger than this other girl I'm telling you about. But if you see the way the girl is, like, she's just very, vibrant, full of life. I was just looking at her like, this girl in a different world, like in a different situation. Yeah, she will just be preparing to maybe finish SS1 or SS2. Yeah, that's how young she is. And she looked so excited about the marriage. She was happy. But like whenever we're talking about it, the pressing part of it, when our own cousin is busy crying and crying blood that she doesn't want to get married. In what culture has place on different tribes as ruthlessly have view of governance and Raji, I don't understand. The first line is kind of confusing. Wait, let me MTN has started. Can you imagine? I don't understand this in our culture. Is it in our culture or okay? It has our culture has placed on different tribes and has ruthlessly affected our view of governance and settlement in Nigeria. You know that's one thing we have to consider, the idea of culture. You know, other countries, they're like, no, separate religion, from state. Don't use God to be ruling over the people of the country. We are led by facts, and the legalities of the law and all of that. Not God, not religion, not some Bible precept. But in this country, we also have to accept that culture is also part of the thing we need to separate from governance. We have to separate. If not, we will not be free. We will not be free, because how can it be normal, that you say, how can we just normalize, practices of girl, like child marriage, because it's been ingrained in the north, and like that's how the north. No, that is not. They are human beings. They are not born thinking that, oh, I want to be married to at 15, at 13, to some ancient of days, to some decrepit. This man, I'm telling you that, okay, eventually, yes, that cousin, the man came. They did all this bridal ceremony. She even came to our house. She dressed up. It was so sad to me, oh. But she was excited, and I know that there is no way this man is going to disturb her for maybe, well, is that not the point of it, like sex and all of that? I think it's going to happen, you get. But he was promising her a lot of things. He was saying things like, he bought her a phone, he bought her pretty materials, all those things to kind of distract her from the hell that she was going to enter. And again, she would be his youngest wife. Meanwhile, his daughters are as old as I am, and if you know how old I am old. His daughters are grown women, they are married, yes, and he has sons too that are married, big ass sons. Like, this girl is a literal child. If his first child is having a child, his first child maybe their last born will be young as is this girl he's about to marry. Do you get? So, but when we're talking about it now, like anytime I talk about it, it's always like, that's just how they are here, and it's insane. It's insane. Those children and those girls, those children, they are not born like with the whole improvement, the whole programming of, oh, when I grow up I'm going to marry, not grow up, when I'm any day now I'm going to marry an old man. They always cry. They don't like it. You get? And I feel like talking about this is kind of like the way in that moment these two women, yes, the slave master's wife and this slave Clara, the way they were fighting in that moment, when they were on equal ground of like just physical violence to each other, is that moment where the white woman, she does not really know why she wants to beat Clara. She just wanted to beat Clara because programming of, if I see a slave I have every right to stomp on them. That programming, and she feels like slaves are, she probably believe that slaves are programmed to accept beatings, like they don't fight back, they just to take your, just beat them, the way you treat animals. And even me, like I have my sibling has a pet, and those pets, if my siblings like discipline them, they used to pay my blood, and I used to fight like, no, leave them alone. So if I cannot even stand a dog being hurt, do you get? Like, why would I imagine that human beings to just stay and be beating them anyhow? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or I just imagine that a child will want to get assaulted by an old man in the name of marriage because her father is going to get money from the marriage bride price and all of that. It's like, no, this does not work. Yeah. So in that moment in the book, yes, where they are talking about like those two women are arguing, I feel like it's something that we can reflect on, and it can be paralleled to our everyday situation. When we see stories of like slavery and slave masters, most of the time we're tempted to be like, oh, that was the old day, that was the old days. And it's like, no, it's kind of happening these days. Okay, so I don't know if you're on Twitter, where there was this case where this woman, she posted, I saw the picture of this old woman. Exactly. That's literally it. Culture and religion is what is killing this country, and we will not be free until that thing has gone out. so so as I was saying about the online stuff, um this nonsense thing happened. Like, this woman, I just saw a picture of an elderly woman on her knees, yeah, and she was holding a wig, and she was like supplicating like this, like you can see in her face that she's embarrassed, she's ashamed, she's absolutely humiliated, but she's like pleading for mercy. It was just a picture, but it communicated that to me, you understand. And the person that posted it was a woman, And she posted it because she said the woman is the old lady is a housekeeper, and the old lady has been stealing her wigs, and you know how expensive wigs are. So I understand the woman's anger, the boss's anger, the madam's anger, that, oh, you are stealing my wigs, do you know how expensive my wigs are? And the old woman, do you know how many she stole? Nine before this woman, before our madam caught her. But then my own issue is her posting it on Twitter, and posting this woman on her knees with the wig in her hand on Twitter. What does that do for you? You understand? Now, if you catch a thief that stole your stuff, you get, normally if there's jungle justice is outside, police are even cracking down on jungle justice here, because at the end of the day some people are just implicated. We'll never forget those boys in that Port Harcourt city that was killed, like in jungle justice. So like Nigeria really cracking down on jungle justice, even though it's not really effective enough, it's not popular anymore, but it's still happening. And I feel like the way this woman came and posted her housekeeper's pictures on Twitter is also form of, it's like a digital jungle justice. Because why did you post this woman's picture? Number one, it's not like this woman has Twitter accounts. She does not have Twitter account. Maybe she has Facebook, because most older generations have Facebook, but definitely does not have a Twitter account. Number two, how is she going to process the fact that millions of, let's just say hundreds of thousands of people have seen that picture? Like, she will not think of it because she's not on the site, so it does not matter to her. But you will get a sort of satisfaction from humiliating her like that. You understand? Now, I'm bringing it up in the sense that the intersection of class differences, we don't have class solidarity in this country at all. People feel as if, like I was saying yesterday, people feel that because they have money, they have the right to step on people. Okay, but she's still, now what people were saying in our comments was, it's good. This is the problem of this country. The country our country, we allow thieves to get away with things. We allow thieves to rule us. Tell me how a poor old woman that is coming to clean your house for you, that can barely survive, that she has to start stealing. Do you think that woman does not have pride in her? Do you think she was born stealing? Do you think stealing is second nature to her? Like, think about it. Do you think she's stealing because she wants to steal? Do you think anybody really steals because they want to? I don't think so. I refuse to believe that. And another thing again is that this woman was begging. She cooperated, you get, and the madam was just like you stole 9 weeks. It's not a video, but all over the comments she was like, this is the problem of this country. Other people say, yes, disgrace her. And I'm like, how? What is the commonality between this housekeeper and, let's say, Wike Minister of Abuja? Yes. What's the how do they connect? What is their commonality? Oh, they steal, abi? Exactly, their circumstances. So, like, Wike that is stealing and is even stealing for his children's children, taking that his nonsense on up and down, flaunting their wealth that is not for them. What's the commonality between that man that is a full-blown thief? What's the commonality between him and this woman that you are disgracing on Twitter for how many likes, how many interactions? Because they both steal. Okay, now let's see. This housekeeper, has she ever been in a position of power and stolen from you? Has she ever been in any position? I don't think so. She's a housekeeper, for God's sake. Wike has always been in politics. For as long as his career started, he has always been in politics, and he has had the opportunity to have access to government funds, and he has stolen them, swallowed them, pocketed them, saved them for his children's children. So how is she? Exactly. Like, it does not make sense. Like, why did you put her picture online? I'm like, okay, fine. I'm sure she disgraced that woman. I'm sure she will not pay her. I'm sure she will call her family members. I see the woman I gave you chance to be working for me. She's stealing wigs for me. You disgrace her in her community. Why are you putting her picture on Twitter? And I want to answer that question, why she's putting it on Twitter. To me, I feel like she's having misdirected rage towards the people that are actually stealing from her. Do you understand? The real thieves that she cannot get her hands on and beat to stupor, to beat them to the point where they will kneel down and beg for forgiveness. She's now taking out her anger on those that are below her, those people that don't have any power, not knowing that the suffering you are suffering, you are now perpetuating it on the person that does not deserve any of that. Like, it's as if you are mirroring each other. You and that housekeeper, you have no difference. Let me just tell you now, you and the housekeeper, you are not different. Disgracing your housekeeper on Twitter for likes and calling yourself a moral, like you are a paragon of justice and morality, say because you disgrace your housekeeper, Nigeria will get better, slowly and slowly Nigeria will get better. You and that housekeeper, you are not different. You are not different at all. I'm not saying it's good for people to steal wigs. Obviously that woman, that the oga, the madam, she suffered to buy those wigs. Yeah, she worked hard. Ask yourself, why did you have to work so hard to buy wigs? Why are your wigs so freaking expensive that when somebody steals them, it's like they are stealing something out of your blood? It's not like that in other countries that have working systems. It's because here Nigerian public officials are stealing government funds and they are looting the economy in such a way that everything is inflated, so your money does not have value. The money you make times 3 times 4, it doesn't have value because they have ruined the system with inflation, amassing foreign currencies. Yeah, I studied economics. You amass foreign currencies and you are spending foreign currencies in a country where you are not producing, you are not exporting. You are not producing, you are only importing. So you are getting the value of your naira, of your currency. That is why most countries, no matter how small they are, they always make sure there is something they're exporting. They always make sure there's something they're exporting. If not, their currency will just enter gutter. Wait, what are we exporting? What are we exporting? Like the amount of money that you hear people steal and say, oh, we recover 1 trillion from one person. That 1 trillion, do you know what gives 1 trillion value? Is the housekeepers in the country, those women in the market struggling every day to sell 1 basket of tomatoes and pepper. Those are the women that make our currency to have value, not the losers that are up there bleeding the system dry. They don't add value to the currency. So that is why every time things keep getting higher and higher, and those people that are selling, they can't afford to reduce their prices, because if they reduce their prices, the value you get, they won't get the value of what they are selling. So that means for them to increase their prices to double of what it is, you get, they have to use their blood and their sweat, their physical effort, to create 2 times what something that require 1 time of effort. They have to use their effort, their blood, to do 2 times to get the value of what they are selling. And what they are selling, the housekeeper too, she's part of the system. She's giving her effort to the system. The money that she's paid, small as it is, whatever she's using to go and do, is what is making our naira have value. Not those losers that are stealing money and packing it for their children. Not those losers. So what I'm saying is that in that moment, I feel like in the eyes of the real thief, those public officials, in their eyes, you that are disgracing that woman and the woman that is being disgraced, 2 of you are one and the same. There's no difference. There's no difference. So I don't know, there has to be a level of class solidarity for us to wake up. It's not about jungle justice. It's not about how much can you pay a woman that is cleaning your house for you that woman will have children. She looks very elderly, so she might have grandchildren, and for her to still be working, it means that her children cannot support her livelihood. Like, look at it now, her children grown cannot support her to live by herself. She has to still go out and be cleaning people's house at her age. Even if she was young, if it was a younger lady, her parents cannot support her lifestyle, cannot even support her existing. Let's not say lifestyle, because if you say lifestyle now, you think you start imagining going out partying. No, Lifestyle is just the way you live your life, but let's not say lifestyle, let's just say living experience. Her parents cannot support her. She, her own, her children cannot support her. She has to go out and work. And she's working so hard that she felt that you have excess of wigs. Maybe you won't miss one today. Oh, she sold one successfully, you did not catch her. And she kept on stealing until she stole 9. And it's like, as egregious, as crazy as stealing 9 wigs is, let's say each wig is like maybe 300k. Like, see how much money she must have amassed, yeah, by stealing, and it's still not enough. Just 1 million over the period of, I don't know, maybe she stole over the period of 1 year or 6 months. I don't know, the woman did not specify how many times she has, or how the long period of this the theft, yeah. So it's like, up to this, in this day and age, 1 million naira is not enough to take care of you for 3 months. 1 million naira is not enough to take care of in this country. 1 million naira is not enough to take care of you for 3 months. You have to keep stealing, and you think your problem is the thief. You think your problem is the thief. That thing that this woman did in this book, where she's like, you can hit me, but you can't hit my child, and she faced up to the mistress. Forget the aftermath of it, yes. In that moment when she faced up to the mistress, what Nigerians think they are doing when they do things like this to poor people or people that are in lower class than them is that they think they are facing up to the mistress in that moment. But your mistress is only wearing your mistress, the how will I say it? The mistress that is oppressing you, that you need to face up to, are your public officials, your government people. You have to face them to them in a way where it hurts. She didn't want her child to be hurt, so she stood up. She knows the consequences of standing up to her mistress, and she still did it anyways. In slavery America, where they used to kill them, she used to watch people die for nothing. She still stood up to this mistress. And you think jungle justice is a way of, you think you are up to that. Like when people do jungle justice or do things like that, they think they are up, they are standing up to the system. Mama, what you are doing is exactly what the system wants you to do. The system wants you to demonize people that are poor. The system wants you to demonize people that don't have power like you. That's what the system wants. When they divide, they could divide and conquer. It's not a joke. When they steal. For people to now gain class consciousness of class, how divided we are, how separated we are by class. For people to gain class consciousness is not easy across a large population like ours. But how you know that we are still sleeping and dreaming is when we keep on killing and beating people that are of a lower class than us because they stole something from you. No, my dear. You are still sleeping. You have not woken up. And what I want to even say is like, don't even try to moralize yourself when you do jungle justice like that. Don't even try to carry shoulder up that yes, I am standing up for honesty and uprightness in this country. It's a lie. You are not standing up for anything. You are not. You are trying to get some sort of satisfaction, some sort of relief from the pressure of the system that is sucking you dry. Like the real parasites. I don't know if you watch that movie. The real parasite is these government people that are sucking you dry. And you are scared. Oh, the parasite is too big. I cannot kill this parasite that stay too long. I can't kill it. So, because the parasite is busy sucking your blood in one part of your body, because fly is now following, like fly just pass like this, you now start chasing that fly. That this fly, you are the cause of my problems. Baba, there's a parasite sucking you on your back. You need to get rid of that parasite, else you will never have peace. So I don't know, I feel like we are all very similar. Yeah, I'm talking about a book. I've gone far. We are all very, 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 very similar. Yes, we are all family, if you can use that word. I don't like using that word anyhow, but if you look at it, like in this system where there's this overload, another thing that this Flora emphasizes on is freedom. So when I started my stream, what was I saying? I was saying how I was talking about propaganda I'm not falling for. Yeah, our propaganda is that material things are going to buy you freedom. Material things are going to buy you freedom. I'm not falling for that propaganda at all. So and this book I've not read it before. This is the first time I'm reading it. I was going to read it on stream to see how it would be. Yes. So I was very surprised that they were talking. She was talking a lot about. I'm not surprised in the sense of slaves. Of course, a slave dreams of freedom. Yes, but I'm surprised that that was the central theme of her prayer was that God should set her free, and somehow she got her freedom. You get, she died, but she not really. She was here, so she had to watch over her children. Even though it was a bit helpless, but she was still here and she was free. Okay, nobody could tell her what to do, how to do, when to die, when to live, when to wake up, when to sleep, and nobody could assault her anymore. She didn't have any master over her head anymore. So I'm just saying, like, when we're talking about freedom, yes, I think she even says it to the mistress. I think she even says it to the mistress. Wait, let me find it. Let me find it. I'm coming. Let me find it. This chapter 3 is actually very long. She said it where she said, so now I'm talking about the mistress here. So the mistress, her arm raised to strike, and the poker raised in my hand to strike her back. Now, we stood there like we were stone, looking hard in each other's eyes, and from somewhere the idea came that this woman who was built like me, shaped like me, had eyes, nose, ears, arms, legs, and blood just like me, didn't know what she was doing in this here thing either. The master of the land was the master of us both, and all of us in this thing, and she was captured in a net just like I, as a slave, in this net of time. But she loved him, blah 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 blah. My point is, like, in that paragraph here, you see where they both recognized how very much the same they were. You understand? So I was talking about materialism not being able to buy you freedom. Yes. Now, will you tell me that this mistress is not rich? She's rich. Will you tell me that she's not also in charge of the slaves that her husband owns? She is. Or she was. Let's say it's past tense. She is, she was, whatever. Also, she has access to every single resources that this man has. So in essence, she has all the old trappings of materialism. Yeah, she has it all. Okay, she has it all. But was she free? No. And she felt how trapped, like the awareness, the enlightenment of how trapped, how much of a slave she was in the moments where she wanted to what face off another slave. So at the end of the day, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? If after for so long we've been told, we've been programmed that we need to acquire material stuff to be free, when you now realize that even with the material things you are not free, you have to now start asking yourself, how can I get out of this? Where will I go? Set me free. What will set me free now? What will set me free? What can set me free? If after all the money I have acquired in the world cannot set me free, what will set me free? And unfortunately, a lot of people get to the point where they have a lot of material things. And first of all, this is not a sermon against having things. Yes, what is the essence of life? This is not a sermon against having stuff. Good, have stuff. But have stuff because of, I don't know, have stuff because you want to, not because to do something for you. Have stuff because, you would like to have this thing. Not because this thing is going to set you free. Because the answer to freedom is inside. When Clara was talking about herself, Clara said something that I think she said it early in the book. She said that they used to say, we used to believe that, or she said I used to believe, I can't remember right now, but she said I used to believe that I was born a slave, but that's a lie. I was born free and then made a slave. So I think the answer is there, that we have always been free. We have always been free, but we can make ourselves into slaves, slaves of the machine, slaves to capitalism, slaves to religion, slaves to God, slaves to culture, slaves to politics, slaves to anything. Because the reason why we are enslaving ourselves is probably because we were deceived that these things will buy us freedom, these things will give us freedom. Okay, having all these things will give us freedom, but and I'll use one example now in real life. Elon Musk. Yeah, me, I'm somebody that is chronically online. Yes, I'm always online. So and I hate that man with passion. Like, I don't think he's on my list of most hated people on this earth. And I hate him as a consequence of his money, not entirely because of his money, but because of the consequences that his money is allowing him to wreak on our planet, on everybody around him. You get, on systems everywhere around the world. Okay, I hate him because of that. But if you follow up, or like there are video essays on YouTube, I like to watch. I used to go deep into his biography and how his life really was. So Elon Musk, yeah, in his family, yeah, he was born to an abusive father, and his father, wrecked him in the sense like he was traumatized because he had an abusive father. Even his mother, there's no love for him at home. Okay, and so when you follow the trajectory of his life, of his story, it seems as if he's trying to go somewhere where he can start again, where he can be free of the trauma, of the abuse that he has borne as a child. This is one that was pushed from his staircase down by his own parents. How do you reconcile love for this type of person in his body? How do you think he'll be able to recognize love, recognize freedom, identity? Do you get? He doesn't have any of those. So that is why you see that everywhere he goes, he buys things to belong, to stamp as an identity. Oh, I'm the one that created Tesla. He's not the one. Engineers did it for him. Oh, I'm the one that made free speech free in America. They've always had free speech. You just bought a system, you bought an entity and decided to control how people speak on there. Like, ever since he bought Twitter, the amount of racism and the amount of sexism, the amount of Nazism, like anti-Semitism, is so high on that platform, and is encouraged because he doesn't care about that. But just go and say one thing about Elon Musk himself on that Twitter, you will just get a ban. Like, it will literally ban you. You find the account and ban you. That's how unbusy he is. So my point about Elon Musk now, let's forget all of those materials. Let's look at the way he's living his life in the sense of having all of those money. Yes, you think by now he has developed an identity for himself. You think by now he knows who he really is. You think by now he's comfortable in his own skin. But Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. He wants to escape from Earth. He's tired and he can't kill himself. He's tired. Yes, he does not have inner peace. He has looked everywhere. He joined all these right wingers, those people that hate everything, hate Black Americans, hate every race of every kind, deport people from America. He joined all of them. Upon everything inside there, he still does not have inner peace. He says, I'm going to build SpaceX. We're going to send a man to Mars. In fact, we're going to start a new civilization on Mars. Since we have been looking for civilization on Mars. That's why he's amassing money. He wants to go to Mars. He wants to run away. He thinks that when he's on Mars, he will finally be free of the trauma and abuse that he has been carrying all his life. He thinks that's how, and he feels money is the key to that. But like, he has 13 children. Before those children see money from him, like the mothers will do like this. They have to go to court to collect judge order to make him pay them alimony. This man he's the richest man in the whole world. He cannot just give. How much will he ever give to all those his 13 children that will ever touch that amount in his account? But he has been convinced, yes, he has been convinced that money is what is going to buy him freedom. Freedom. He wants to be free of the trauma of his childhood. But he cannot, because you can't. You're already free. You just have to walk your way back to freedom. You're already free. Nothing can change you again. But you have to believe in yourself, because the thing about freedom is that it is so free that you will not recognize it. And again, it's scary. Okay? Like when I started this stream, I was talking about how this morning I was hearing some voices in my head. Yeah, it's not like all those voices in my head, no, but like I was having some thoughts, doubting myself, doubting everything I was, just because I was happy that I made progress. You know how I was happy yesterday that you joined my stream and you talked to me and you were nice. I was happy all through the day because I was like, hey, finally I'm making some level of progress on my channel. Yes, guy, if you see the self-doubt that wrecked me this morning, and I was like, and then I started looking at statistics. I was like, hey, all this one I'm just happy. Remember that you have not gotten anywhere. Remember that you have not reached anywhere that you are happy. What are you celebrating? If it's not that I've spent a lot of time in my own head and I've spent a lot of time recognizing my own desires, I would have. The title of the book is in my description, Family by J. California Cooper. But I wrote it in my description so you can see it. You can check it out online. I'm sure it's available online too. So those voices in my head, yeah, screaming at me that why are you celebrating? What do you have that said? Just come on one video, you don't want to show me that you're happy. Before, I used to believe that was my voice, and I felt the need to I was like, that is logical. Of course, I don't have those things. I should not be celebrating. I felt those were logical thoughts. They're not logical. But I second of all, that is not my voice. That is just implanted voice of programming past, where they tell me, where I used to believe that I have to make it. I have to have the numbers to consider myself a success. Okay? Exactly. And this thing about knowing your niche and what you stand for is a process. You can't just wake up and say, oh, I know my niche, this is my niche. No, that's not how it works. For me, or for my own experience, I feel like for you to know your niche, you need to know yourself. Yes, and knowing yourself requires recognizing yourself in the mirror. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Who do you see? Do you understand? You need to make peace with what you see. And one thing about recognizing yourself is that immediately we see ourselves for what we are, we feel the pressure to change, to remove it. We don't like what we see most of the time. Well, from my experience, like we don't like what we see most of the time. We want to change it. Like, oh no. I thought I was like this person. Let me change. Let me be this person. I can be this thing. I can. The way I chased after that, I believe that I can be somebody else that is not me. The places it took me to. Anyways, I'm here now, and I don't think I've fully accepted exactly what I like to do without being paid. But before you can recognize that something has value to other people, you have to recognize that it has value to you first. Do you get? You have to recognize that this thing that you want to do without being paid is valuable to you without money as well. Do you get? It makes sense. Yes, it has to make sense to you. Like, this thing I'm doing, I'm not being paid for it, but it's valued. I value it. But for some people, they don't even see themselves in the light of being valuable. Like, they don't see themselves as worthy. So anytime they do things, they just take it for granted. Like me, there's a lot of things I take for granted. I used to take for granted, no more yet. But then I take a lot of things for granted. I was like, I beg, what is this thing? This is not it. This is not it. Because I didn't even know my own voice. But the more I come into my voice, the more I look at myself and I tell myself things that are true to me, and the more I am able to isolate fake voices that are not mine. Okay, not every voice, not every thought in your head is your thought. Some of them are just implantations of bad programming. Okay, wrong programming from religion, from culture, from your family, from anywhere, from your friends. You have to know what your voice is. And then when your voice speaks to you, you recognize it so that when those voices that are not yours speak to you, you can now say, that is not my voice, so I don't need to answer it. I don't need to listen to you. I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to prove I'm a success. I don't even have to prove anything to you, this voice. And then I focus on what I'm interested in, what I want to do, what on my own thoughts. And the more I focus on my thoughts, the more those kind of voice, fade into the background. They don't disappear, they just evolve with every position you find yourself in life. They just keep evolving to know how to torture you. Yeah, they just keep evolving to know how to torture you. The only thing you have to do is just catch it. Okay, you catch it by always being present. Okay, don't just assume things are automatic when you just have to just think, oh, that's me. No, that's not you at all. That's not you at all. And you can see it in this character Clara. There's a way Clara speaks about herself and her mother. You know that they don't think they are programmed to be slaves. See this old man. They don't think they are programmed to be slaves. Hi, hello, unknown, Ruhani, hi. They don't think they are programmed to be slaves. They recognize that this position they are in is not natural. And that's why there's also this conversation about that slave that was like, I can read. I can read. See, in that way he was saying, I can read. Do you know that he has found freedom? And they killed him for it, but what does death do? What can death do? What can death do? He said, I am free, and God is against what you are doing. You think you are the only one that knows God. The only one that can read. I read the Bible, and I am free, and God does not like what you are doing to us. Oh, that was my favorite part in the story. He said, I can read. I can read. And God does not like you. And they were angry. And they beat him for it. Me, I'm not a religious person. I don't care much about what God has to say in the Bible, so allow me. But that's something to hold on to. At the end of the day, this freedom you are looking for, it does not look like another person's type of freedom. Okay, your freedom will not look like anybody else's type of freedom. Some people express freedom and say, I'm free, and their own idea of freedom is spending a lot of money. I'm free, and they are buying cars and they are traveling the world over, and that's beautiful. But your freedom is going to look like you, what matters to you, what you consider valued. That is what your freedom is going to look like. So there's also the work of recognizing your freedom. Okay, there's also the work you need to put in to recognize what freedom means for you. So I've gotten to 2 hours, even past 2 hours, and I think we tried today. Thank you for being on my live. Raji, welcome. Thank you for staying with me. I really appreciate you. And tomorrow, I don't know if tomorrow is possible, maybe we'll try a different thing tomorrow. I don't know, I might have an idea in the night or tomorrow morning. I don't know, I'll try and implement it. Either way, you're going to see me somehow, probably tomorrow. Thank you for being on my stream all this time. Thank you so much. I know you people have things you are doing with your day. You can have the number. I'm going to vlog this guy so he will not come back, because I don't know why he's spamming my chats. Like, why? Anyways, thank you for being here, spending this time, taking time out of your day. I hope I'm able to bring much more fun conversations and much fun things to do on stream, so yes, the title of the book is in my description, so you can check it out, and all that. And what will I say as my goodbye messages now? Like, what will I say? Find your freedom, yes, or hold on to your freedom. Yeah, 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 yeah. I guess that's part of it, and at least it's just one person, yeah. So by the time I have like a bigger audience, yes, there will be people that will be moderating this kind of comments for me. But for now, I don't have that, so I'll just allow it to fly, like, and ignore it as best as I can. Okay, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next stream. Teddy, say bye bye. Bye bye. 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 Thank you for your chat. I think you know what people need to. Oh, I'm so happy you're happy. Bye bye.